We've all played against a midfielder that runs the game and dominates the pitch. So how can you become that player in the midfield? The midfield is the engine room. You're always involved in the play, and typically the team that wins is the team that has the midfield that controls the game. Being a midfielder is such a high pressure position. It's such a highly visible position. If you're having a bad game as a midfielder, it's so easy for everyone to see because you're so involved. Every touch, every pass, everything comes from the midfield. Many teams look to play through the midfield even when there's immense pressure, when there are players flying at you left, right, and center. So you need to be able to control that ball and run the game in the most high pressure situation. As a midfielder, you need to be good at every aspect of football. So if you want to be that midfielder that dominates games, make sure you watch until the end. Number one, as a midfielder, you need to have a constant awareness of what's going on around you. You need to scan the pitch and always know where your teammates are and where your opposition is. As a midfielder, intelligence and understanding and reading the game is so crucial. You need to always have a picture of what the pitch looks like, whether it's in front of you, behind you, or around you. You need to know where your teammates are and where the opposition is so that when you receive that ball, you know where the pressure is coming from and you know what to do with it. So constantly checking your shoulder and scanning is extremely important. If you look at that prime Barcelona team that dominated world football, that midfield of Xavi, Iniesta, and Busquets, I don't think we've ever seen a midfield that strong in the history of the sport. Every single one of those players was able to scan the pitch and they had a perfect view of what was going on every single part of the pitch. So as a midfielder, you need to make sure you have a very good understanding of what's going on around you. Number two, as an elite midfielder, you need to have a great first touch. And this applies not only to midfielders, but every single position on the pitch, even goalkeepers. But specifically as a midfielder, you're going to be operating in tight spaces under pressure. So you need to make sure that that first touch is on point so that you can use your second touch to distribute the ball, to dribble, to turn, or do whatever the situation calls for. A bad first touch will lead to you losing the ball in bad areas of the pitch. A decent first touch will allow you to control the ball, but not set you up for success with your second touch, whereas a great first touch will allow you to completely split open the game with just one pass. And a great first touch comes from repetition in training under pressure, having your teammates ping a ball into you and controlling it with a static touch, stopping the ball dead, or with a directional first touch if you're under pressure to beat that pressure. At number three, an elite midfielder needs to have a solid passing range. And what this looks like is you shouldn't just be able to hit an inside of the foot pass 15 yards to a teammate. You should be able to use your laces, find a driven pass 60, 70 yards across the pitch on a diagonal. You need to be able to loft the ball. You need to be able to use the outside of your foot, every part of your foot, so you can evade pressure in those high pressure moments. And if you think about some high level playmaking midfielders, if you look at KDB, if you look at Zinedine Zidane, those guys could be so creative and had an incredible passing range and vision so that they could be dangerous. And how you improve this is by working on your passing range in training, getting in those moments where you're maybe in open play, working on pinging a ball with both feet, strong foot and weak foot, and using various parts of your foot, just going ahead and making sure that you're finding repetition with different types of passes. And at number four, you need to be athletic and have good stamina. If you look at the midfield, it's all about the engine room. While the midfield does have different defined roles, a 6, an 8, and a 10, you look at a 10, it's a playmaker. If you look at a 6, they're a holding player, they're more defensive. And if you look at an 8, you think of more of a box to box. However, every single player in that midfield needs to fill different roles. Sometimes the 6 needs to step up and be like an 8, and the 8 sometimes needs to step up and be a second 10 if the game calls for finding those half spaces on both sides. So you need to be able to have that endurance and that ability athletically to fill all those different midfield positions. And to build that stamina, which I talk about in detail in another video, which I'll link, you need to do interval training and not just jogging for long periods, because to be game realistic, if you look at a game, it's a lot of sprints followed by recovery. Maybe a 10-yard sprint, then recover, then a 45-yard sprint, then you recover. So you need to do interval training to allow yourself to sprint on demand in those moments of extremely high effort and intensity. You need to be able to perform and then find your recovery when your team's off the ball and you can move it around the pitch. So if you follow this advice and you put the work in, you can become that midfielder that everyone fears. Now, since you made it this far, make sure you like and subscribe because I post weekly content that'll help you become a better footballer. Also, comment down below what area do you need to improve in most as a midfielder. Catch you in the next video.